Waiting is a sign of true love and patience. Anyone can say I love you, but not everyone can wait and prove it's true. Good things and finding the right people for our lives surely takes time, but it finally happens in one way or another. He is called Vincent, a man that was abandoned by his own family because they couldn't tell what he was suffering from that was eating up his entire body, and they left him on his own even when he did not have legs.
Na data yari yaje uwo munsi gusenga, mbabwira nti nimumuhagurutse ahagarara ahangaha imbere yanyu avuga ikintu ampora icyo aricyo gituma ndwara ntandwaze, gituma aza kunsinyira ku bitaro bakancamagura agataha ntandwaze, mumumbarize. Arahaguruka rero.
He one day decided to ask his father why he hated him so much, to the extent that he had to live on his own in the hospital while the doctors were cutting off his legs. He was just left there to die, and at some point he started thinking that this was not his real family. He therefore decided to commit suicide and end his life, because he thought that he could never get food since he could not move. There was no way that he could ever work for anything to eat, but this was before he met his wife, Edvesta. She has been lifting her husband for 10 years now, since they are too poor to even afford a wheelchair for him. Today we visited this man that has been living in a lot of pain for a very long time. He later found a wife who decided to be by his side regardless of his physical disabilities and the disease that he is suffering from. This is their story from the very beginning, where it started till where they ended up living in this kind of life. Why they were rejected and abandoned by the people they called family when they needed them the most. Vincent was born a normal boy and he had no problem at all. He was born in this same village and he started growing up normally, and everything was okay by then. His family still loved him and cared about him a lot. When he was turning into a man, he fell sick, but until now, he cannot explain the kind of sickness that he was suffering from, but all he knows is that it was very painful. His legs started hurting a lot, and the pain kept on becoming more and more as days went by. He went to the hospital for checkup, and the doctors couldn't tell what he was suffering from because according to them, he was completely normal, though he claimed to be having a lot of pain. They gave him painkillers and sent him back home. From then, his legs started drying up and becoming so hard like they were a tree and there was no blood in them. They had a lot of temperature, and sleeping for him was something that he did not do every day because of the pain that he was going through. He says that in order for him to feel less pain, he used to put his legs in cold water, and at least this would make him feel better. Obviously, he could not live like this forever, so he went to the hospital to seek for more treatment and see what could be done about his condition.
Amano bigeze haruma, amano aracika akajya avunguka nk'aho ari ibintu bivunguka byumagaye. Akikura agacika.
His toes started falling off like as if they weren't parts of his body. When the doctors saw this, they realized that this disease was going to grow up from his legs to his entire body, and they proposed to cut off his legs before it got worse. According to the pain that he was going through, he immediately accepted and told them to cut both of his legs off because they were hurting him a lot and he could not live with them anymore. He was taken to the theater for the surgery next morning. Surprisingly, his family lives next to this hospital that he was being treated from. None of them ever bothered to come and visit him or even bring him food. The only way that he ever survived was to beg food from other sick patients that were in this hospital.
ntabwo ndetse nabo nari mfite bitwa ngo ni ba data wacu n'abakuru banjye bo mu miryango basa naho banyanze baranyanga baranteragana reba kuba narajyaga ubutare jyenyine ntagira n'umuntu turi kumwe nkijyana nkigarura.
The doctors successfully removed one leg and they refused to remove another. Well, they could remove it, but they couldn't without a family member having to sign before surgery. The fact that he could not even afford food in the hospital made them scared that no one was going to take care of him if both legs were removed. Vincent immediately went back home and begged his family to sign on the papers and save his life. This is when he started asking himself if this was really his family. He pleaded with his father so that he could come to the hospital and sign. Fortunately, he accepted and they went to the hospital. Right after he signed, he walked away and was not interested in knowing what was going to happen to his son. The surgery was carried out and it turned out to be completely fine. Since the second leg was now removed, life for him became so complicated. He had to find a way to get home because at this level, he could not walk there. Well, at first, he failed to go home because he still had serious wounds on his legs. Whenever he could try to crawl, he could bleed a lot and he was always taken back to the hospital. After a few days, he finally managed to crawl back home. He says that he couldn't go back to his parents' house because it was obvious that they did not want him anymore. He found an old and abandoned house nearby, and this is where he is living until today. Honestly, life for him has never been easy at all. One day, he bought rat poison in a few coins that were given to him by Good Samaritans to buy food. He decided to kill himself because at this point, he did not see what he was living for. He put the poison in the cup and was about to drink it, but before he did, something happened.
The
rats in his house were fighting and a stone came from up the roof and fell on him. He accidentally poured the poison that he was just about to drink. This is how he survived, and if it wasn't for those rats, he would be dead by now. She says that she was not at all born in this village and she moved here to work as a maid in people's homes. She lived next door and she always used to watch him suffering each and every day. She decided to help since it seemed like no one was by his side. She started living with him, washing for him clothes, cooking for him food from the little money that she always earned. Before she knew it, she was already in love with him, and though he was disabled, he is the man that she wants to spend the rest of her life with. Well, they are not married because they are too poor and they cannot even afford a wedding. They have been living like this for 10 years now, but they hope to make a wedding at the moment when they are able to afford it. Now, all he needs is a wheelchair and find something to do so that he can contribute to their lives as well. Honestly, they do not have a child yet in the 10 years that they have been living together. They have hope that they will surely have a child one day. The funds that will be used to help Vincent buy a wheelchair and make their lives better will be donated via GoFundMe. A link that is in the description of this video and pinned in the topmost comment by Afrimax English. Thank you for watching. My name is Prince. This is Afrimax English. Do not forget to subscribe.